Everyone, it's Chris, and welcome back to what is likely going to be the final new reader recap. So, kind of when I started this channel, I wasn't sure what kind of content I wanted to make, and it's like, I definitely know what made me want to start the channel in the first place was I was just reading comics, and I would be like having reactions to stuff, and I'm like, man, I need someone to talk to about this, because I got no outlet, and this stuff is crazy. So that was the main thing, was like, I just kind of want to read it on camera and share my like live thoughts and reactions right there. So you can see if anything crazy happens. You see how I react to it, and as basically fresh as possible. As soon as I finish reading, I can turn and give my thoughts on it. And as much as I do enjoy that, it's hard because it takes me a lot of time to make these videos because I'll read it sometimes like over 5 issues in these videos, and for me to have a full discussion about each and every one in full detail to recap the events of the issue. That whole editing, I suck at editing, and not that I like suck at it, that I can't learn it, but it's just I'm slow at it. I'm not a proficient editor by any means. I can do it, I just very much dislike it. So it takes me a long time. Like full nights after I get home after work, I'll sit and work on the videos, and recording one night, editing another night or 2 nights, and it's just time consuming. And to be honest, not like a ton of views on them. If they are, the view time is not very high. So I'm not trying to stress myself out and put myself on a schedule to make these every single week and spend all this time and effort for it to not be like a super big thing. So I kind of want to evolve it. So it's not sort of the end of this content because I will still be doing this, but if you watch my new issues new week video, which is our Wednesday basically new comic book day video, where I get my new polls, I discuss one or two, maybe even 3 issues in that video that I read, kind of the things that I'm most excited for or are relevant. Last week we did our Halloween one, or this week, but anywho, I want to sort of merge the two. So I'll do a new reader recap and my new issues new week sort of together in that video. So at the start, we'll likely go over all of our, basic, or I should say my basic thoughts, general opinions on whatever it is that I've read for the week. So for example, here we've got our stack for everything this week that I'll be covering in this video. I'll probably just do some general thoughts on the majority of them, just go over them pretty quickly, and then I'll maybe do like a little bit more in-depth on 1 or 2 things that I thought were really great and want to share about. So that'll sort of be the new reader recap at the beginning of that video. Then we'll get into the new polls, and like I said, from there I'll pick, sort of what my polls of the week are going to be, what I'm expecting, my highlights. Like I said, 1, 2, maybe even 3 issues at most. I'll try to contain it to, and I'll read them there in that video, discuss them and all that, and the rest will come in the following week. So we'll try to stick on 1 video a week for that schedule. And another reason for this is all because I want to try making more, not more, but different content. I want to expand a little bit instead of just me sitting here reading and talking and ranting to the camera without any train of thoughts. I want to put more effort and work into these. The first one being the Age of Revelation video. I'm working really hard on that one. It's not going to be anything like crazy, I don't think, but it's just a lot of comics to cover, and I want my thoughts and opinions to be concise and just really the main information that you need to get. And like I said, we're covering a lot of issues, so I don't want it to be too long of a video. Just a overall broad view of the sort of first wave of X-Men Age of Revelation. I'm trying to get it out as fast as possible because they're dropping like 4 issues every single week, and they're gonna start stacking up, and I kind of want to cover the beginning before it gets too far ahead. So that's the main goal right now, is I'm putting a lot of effort into that video. New reader recap is kind of not a priority anymore, so we're gonna chop it. Goodbye, new reader recap. But for today, we still got it. So while we're here, let's go over our issues. So I'm just going to do a very brief run through of these Trick or Read Halloween, the free comics we got last week. If you watched my new issues new week, we got 4 free issues that they had dropped. I thought they were pretty cool, so I'm going to pick them up and check them out. First, we got X-Men 97 issue 1. Now, I will say all of these real quick are sort of part of a bigger collection of stories. I think the one Fantastic Four one I'll get to is the only one that's sort of like a contained story. The other 3 are all part of longer stories that they all have like the trades for at the end, I think, are available. Anywho, first issue, X-Men 97, pretty solid. It reminded me just of the show. I haven't watched 97, I've said it several times. I've only watched the original cartoon, but it felt just like I was reading it, and everyone's voices and everything, I heard it in my head perfectly. It felt just like an episode. I kind of wanted to check out more, but it's nothing like super crazy. Like I said, it just kind of feels like the show, and I still have the show to watch, so I'd rather just go to that. Next up, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I enjoyed this one. It was alright. It kind of like takes place sort of in between the first and second episode, I guess. It's like events of the first episode of the show, flashback stuff. It's like when the school takes damage from the events of the first episode, and bad guys show up to their school for whatever reason, secret stuff. Kind of like the beginning of his Spider-Man journey. It seems like right after he gets bit, and he kind of gets the idea to be a hero. So, like I said, it's alright, but nothing crazy. This one, the Godzilla vs. Fantastic Four, I believe. Like I said, this one's sort of a contained story, but it's part of a larger Marvel Godzilla series. I want to say collection of stories, whatever it is. I really enjoyed this one though. Actually, this one was really cool. I don't know anything. I've not watched the Godzilla movies like at all. If I've seen any of them, it's only bits and pieces. So I don't know the characters like that. King Ghidorah, if I'm saying that right, King Ghidorah, I think makes an appearance. In fact, it's Galactus sends King Ghidorah. He encounters him in space and sends him to Earth. And King Ghidorah is about to wipe everything out. Fantastic Four are losing the fight. They were losing to Godzilla originally. Godzilla and King Ghidorah are fighting. King Ghidorah is too strong. Silver Surfer shows up, gives all of his powers to Godzilla, and he sort of turns back to a human and collapses. The silver, or should I say, the cosmic Godzilla takes over, beats King Ghidorah. You know, they saved whatever. So yeah, pretty decent issue. Finally, Venom Lethal Protector. Out of all of these, I'd say this is the one I'd be most interested in, like, actually going back and reading the whole story, because I have not read. Is this Silver or Gold Age? Silver Age, Golden Age? I'm not sure. I don't remember the dates. I don't know when this came out. Forgive me, but I'm not familiar with old comics like at all. Any Silver or Golden Age stuff, I have no idea. So obviously a ton of great names, creation of a lot of these characters for stuff I read. So it's kind of essential, I feel like, to go back at some point, and this one really made me want to. So shout out to this Venom issue. I want to say, what is it? Shout out Michelini, Bagley, De La Rosa, Milgram. Not familiar with any of these creators, but I should be, or I would like to get to know your work, because I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I didn't realize how much Venom was like set up to be a protagonist, I guess. Like, he wants to help right from the jump, but he just seems like misunderstood kind of vibes. Even Spider-Man is like, you know, picking on him, and he's like, bro, leave me alone. Leave me be. Let us do our own thing, you know? So, yeah, it was cool. So here we've got our next issues. I guess we'll start with these two. These are the two that I have already read, so I'll go over these a little bit more in depth, I suppose, but nothing too crazy. Once again, I'm trying to work on my time and not ramble as much. I just be yapping, honestly. So, Mortal Thor issue 3. If you watched my last video, once again, I mentioned I might be dropping this one, and to be honest, after reading this one, I still feel the same, except leaning more towards the definitely. I think, not that I dislike it or anything, it's just not really like gripping me as much as I hoped it would. It's cool. I really love the combat. I really love Sigurd's character so far. He seems cool, but it's just like, until I can get a grasp of the full picture, I feel like this might be better for a trade release. I will say the very ending did pique my interest a little bit more. So we get the full, technically, I guess, reveal of Loki, because Odin shows up. Loki kind of makes a little bit of a mistake. Thor gets him into trouble. Part of it is Loki's doing. At least Loki, Thor wouldn't have got, I should say Sigurd, would not have gotten to the point he was at if not for Loki. And Loki kind of realizes he messed up. Odin shows up and he's like, yeah, well, tell me what happened. I better enjoy this story. So Odin's there, Loki is there. Sigurd is still Sigurd, but he had a dream, and it seems Thor appeared in it, and he said he died, but also that they are sort of one and the same. So not entirely sure the whole thing. The reason I also said the ending piqued my interest is because sort of here at the next issue we get a little bit of text at the bottom that says, "Meanwhile, a tale of Asgard, with 9 great realms cut off from the 10th, old enemies grew restless, and hungry eyes fell upon Asgard's empty throne. Ulik, not sure, lord of trolls, was on the march, and which hero would rise to force him back, and which rabbit would rise to aid that hero. This is the story of the son of Thor, and how his great tragedy began." So it seems this one is going to be a little bit one-off, like out of the story that we've been following so far, and we're going to get the story of Thor. So my whole thing is I'll probably just walk in that day and pick it up off the shelf, flip through it, see if it interests me, what's going on in it, if we kind of get more of the same this, or if it's something different. If so, I'll pick that one out, check it out, we'll go from there, you know. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's not a bad read, it just doesn't get me like that, and I'm trying to expand my reach a little bit outside of just Marvel and DC and superheroes and stuff, and save money in the meantime, so probably won't pick it up beyond that point. Like I said, we'll see. And then following that, we've got the TMNT IDW 2025 annual. So this, once again, IDW TMNT, this takes sort of place in that realm. I don't know exactly what time period. There is mention to a couple experiences. I'm once again, I don't know exactly where at, but somewhere in the story of the Turtles during the IDW run, the big long one. At least I think. Once again, I haven't read all of it, so. But this one was pretty good. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. Long story short, family. Uh, brothers. We are nothing without each other, you know. So it's sort of kind of what I was expecting, like a bunch of tales, but not just random tales, not like chapters with different writers and artists and all that. It's one story overall where the four of the brothers have finally come back together after some time apart. I think they said it was a year apart from each other. Once again, didn't read it, or at least the story outside of this all the way through, so not sure what part this is at, but they came back together. It's been some time. They're all sitting together eating pizza, and they're talking about different tales. So, like, Mikey starts with his tale about when he was in Japan filming for, like, a commercial or something, and he got attacked out in the woods there. And Raph's like, yeah, right, that didn't happen. I think, yeah, it was Raph who goes next to tell his tale, and it's just like a two-page spread of him and someone named Pepperoni, who once again I'm not familiar with, but the two of them just kind of doing a cross-country road trip, and there's a bunch of shots of Raph getting into fights all over the country was his story. Mikey says that's not a story. Donnie's like, I think Leo wants to tell a story, and he's like, I don't know if I should, but he does, and it's basically all about this mission Leo was on, and how this guy he was after to save ends up being the bad guy all along. He thought maybe he was being tortured and killed because the person he was after, his three brothers, had been killed and the bodies had been found, but you know, his friend or whoever this, the person's a mutant, I should say. This mutant friend of Leo's was missing, but the three brothers, non-mutants, were found dead. So Leo goes after him. Turns out he's the bad guy in charge, and he actually killed his brothers. Leo fights him. Leo escapes. They're out on a boat. The boat blows up, but Leo gets out. And yeah, he loses a friend, but it teaches him a lot about his brothers. And as I said, all about their bond, their family, their relationship. They're always going to be there for each other whenever they can. So pretty wholesome, pretty sweet. Still got a decent bit of action in it. To my knowledge, this is like a new team entirely. Like I know they've been doing the current new TMNT run. I think issue 12, that first run with those artists just wrapped up. This might even be in relation to that one. I haven't read any of that, so that could be what this is in relation to, and not the huge, long, old IDW one. So, in fact, I think there was a bit of them going to prison, because they talk about them going to prison. That's probably what this is all in relation to. Forget what I said. The current IDW around the 12 issues. I haven't read that either, so that's what this is regarding to, which would obviously make sense for the 2025 annual. Forgive me. It's been a day. So now we've got 3 issues here. Technically 2.5, I guess. Absolute Batman, I already read the first main story. We all know that one. Banger. But that is in my last video if you haven't seen it. So I also mentioned at the end of that last video, I didn't realize that there was more besides that one story. So there are 2 more stories, I believe, at the end of this. I didn't really flip through it all that much because I didn't want to see, but I saved it for this video. So I'll be reading those. And then following that, we've got the Superman Red and Blue 2025 special. I was really looking forward to this one, so I just wanted to save it for this video. And same thing here, Cult of the Lamb Schism. I wanted to pick something different once again. You know, DC Marvel stuff kind of all over. I love me some Cult of the Lamb, so thought I would share that here and maybe gush about it a little because I'm hoping and expecting it to be good, so we shall see. Let's start with the 2 Absolute Batman issues. Damn, this little panel right here, that shot, that's clean. That's really clean. Bro, it's crazy how menacing. Like, Batman is like, holy shit, this guy's got like an aura around him, and not like aura, but you know what I mean. Like, he's just different, you know. But Absolute Batman is a completely different beast. Like, man, Batman was intimidating. This guy is just pure like fear for anyone that sees. Like, they just know it's over. There's not a shot. It's so cool. Because once again, like I said, Batman's just known for that, but here especially, it's like tenfold, and I just didn't think or even know how it would be possible. But his size for one. I can tell you that. Man's is big. Shout out. What we got on this one? Shout out James Herron, Dave Stewart, Clayton Cowler, Andrew Marino. Yeah, another banger short little issue. Like I said, it still gives you all the impact that Absolute Batman wields. Um, See some really cool stuff. He kind of is just refighting some of what looks like, I'm assuming, like the Black Mask. I forget what their names are, but you know, the people who wear the masks and stuff like that for him. This crew breaks into a church slash home. One of the like gang members, I guess, is a sort of young kid, and that's where he grew up at. But they break in, and turns out his dad is still there, who was supposed to be gone for vacation. He was not. Wife got sick, died. Kid finds out. They go to steal the dad's weapons and stuff like that. He said cops on him or whatever. Batman shows up, so it doesn't matter. Batman and these guys get into a fight. Batman takes him out, of course. I guess the last big bad sort of takes himself out with some grenades, and Batman gets the hell out of there. Not before saving the father and son, however. So, yeah, cool little story for sure. So, even for 2 pages, this last little story, this one's really solid too. It says Meredith McLaren, and it's by Andrew Marino again. So kind of a Bruce at the beginning of Absolute Batman. He's at the zoo, and there's all these like bat facts. We kind of get like the like title pages or like little transition pages or whatever they are, but like you don't have like the picture of the bats and stuff. Little reference to that, but it says let's learn about bats, and we kind of just get a bunch of bat facts. But on the panels, we're seeing the facts sort of being translated to Batman. So there's saying about Bat's name, where the name comes from, and it has to do with their appearance. And you have a shot of Batman out someone's window. You talk about the bats' flights and their speed, and we see someone's like online YouTube video of Batman flying through traffic, saying vampire bats will frequently share meals with other bats, and Batman's feeding a homeless guy, which is pretty cool. Saying pest control can clean out bugs, all this different stuff about or bat facts, I should say, and you know what bats do, and seeing how Batman does it. But at the end, it's saying bats are social creatures; they survive best in numbers, and it's just a shot of someone in the crowd who's wearing some Batman headphones. So, it's cool. Yeah, I don't think that one needs much explaining, just the 2 pages. But yeah, very very cool. 2 little issues. I'm glad I found out those were there and went back and caught up on them. So yeah, really great addition. Like I said, it was already a phenomenal 10 out of 10 issue to begin with, but with those, yeah, just a little extra added bonus for me now, so I enjoyed it. From there, we will move on to Superman, I guess, because it, most related. Makes sense. Alright, we're not going to waste too much time. Superman Red and Blue 2025 special. See you at the end. So that was the end of the first story, Priceless, by Paul Dini and Mirka Indolfo. Hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, pretty decent little story. Superman is bailing Kara out. She's sort of on trial for some crimes that her and mainly Crypto, I guess, accidentally committed, and she's sort of taking the fall because she doesn't want Crypto being executed, I guess. And Superman is bailing her out by, I guess they want what are essentially blood diamonds of the universe, some super highly valuable diamond or crystal that is only available in this one spot, so Superman goes to get it to pay for the bribe. Kara meets him there because, of course, she is not obeying the rules. They head back and, do the trial or whatever, bails her out, but she has to do some service hours, and Superman's there to help because, of course, family's family. So, cool little story. On to the next. I really love this one. This is like the exact kind of Superman I want to read. This one is All the Time in the World by Michael Walsh. Yeah, this one was great. The art style, the writing, all of it. This is like the quintessential Superman story, basically. All the time in the world, because it's basically a day in the life of Superman, and we're just seeing everything, all that Superman does in just a single day. Even though it is maybe a busier day than most, we're seeing every aspect, helping everything from like big stuff, like at the beginning it looks like there's a bus that went off a bridge, helping out kids from like falling or assigning their casts, and just having conversations, taking out robots in space, and giving Lex Luthor a stern look, going into work, trying not to be late at the same time, trying to meet Lois for lunch and have a relationship with her, all the while, stuff is constantly going on in the world and he's got to take care of it. So, like I said, it's Superman just doing the absolute most and the best, not letting a single thing really fall or go wrong. The one thing that we do see that he kind of struggles with, however, is just people who are, for one, he's in the hospital with someone who didn't have any family, and he was basically at his last moments, and Superman was there to comfort him. But it just kind of, even the look on his face, he's like, man, I couldn't do anything to save him, which obviously everyone has to die, but just that feeling in Superman, that want and need to be like, I wish I could do more for you, you know. So even moments like that are shown here, which is really cool. And he steps outside the hospital, and there's all these thoughts and everything. You can tell he's hearing about all these people who are having loved ones lost or emergencies or things that he wishes he could do more to help. But then a little therapy dog is there to lick him and comfort him and stuff, which is a nice little thing. So shout out to the dog. Shout out Michael Walsh. Was it Michael Walsh? Michael Walsh. Shout out. I love that one. That's great. Yeah, on to the next one now. That was a solid one. At first I was like, yeah, it's kind of whatever, but the end brought it home for sure. Out of the Ordinary by Dan Abnett and Caitlin Yarsky. Art style was pretty cool. I like Superman's look, especially the suit. Everything was kind of just blue and white tones, all blue and white scale, the whole thing. But Superman's suit is just the only thing that's like like full vibrance and saturation. But Superman is in this small town of Canada, like 240 people, and a reporter gets him for an exclusive interview. And Superman's just kind of talking about himself. He's saying, I'm Superman and I do these things, and I guess they're kind of not normal, you could say, even for me. He's like, I'm just a normal guy. I grew up here on Earth, not too far from here in Canada, in fact, and lived a normal life. He's like, if you want an exclusive, my true identity is that part of me. My secret identity is Superman. This is the other part of me, that part of me, the part you would call secret, is the real me. So, yeah, I like that little bit of, himself, I guess, or whatever, at the end that we get, because I guess you don't really think of that much. You always just kind of think of Superman, and yeah, he's also Clark Kent, but I like this. This is cool. So, on to the next, maybe final story, maybe one or two more, it looks like. And that's the end of that one. In fact, that's the end of the issue. Red Letter Days. I like that one a lot too. By Rainbow Rowell and Cyan Tormey. Rainbow and Cyan, cool name. Anywho, yeah, that one was really cool. It's more of a Lois primary. Superman's in it a good bit, don't get me wrong, but kind of from Lois's POV from a lot of it. Basically, Superman and Lois are at work. Superman gets a call, something's going on big from Batman, so Superman heads out. Lois is at the office, she's on the story, she's got to follow all this news and everything like that. There, obviously, Superman is on the scene getting information, whatever. He ends up coming back later that night, and they sort of do the story together, and yeah, it's the two of them together celebrating their anniversary. I don't know if I said that, sorry. It's their anniversary as well, but Superman kind of forgot, and then he apologized. He's like, oh, I meant to get your rose or whatever. And she's like, are you kidding me? She's like, I got to stop the presses, and we had this great night writing this story. So she's like, perfect. So yeah, little anniversary story with Superman and Lois. Yeah, really cool special. I really enjoyed that one. I liked all four of those stories a lot. My favorite definitely being that second one, All the Time in the World by Michael Walsh. That one, banger. I love that one. I could read so much more of that. So yeah, really cool issue. And finally, that's going to bring us to Cult of the Lamb Schism Special #1. Once again, for anyone who doesn't know Cult of the Lamb, this is a video game. I have played a crap ton of it. I have it perfected. There's some new content coming out. I'm very excited for it. So this was kind of a surprise to me. Can't wait to get into it. So let's see what it's about. Bro. Next issue on sale March 2026. Are you kidding? That's, 5 months from now? Crazy. Anywho, I love this one. This was really great. This, to me, just felt like kind of almost like role-playing in the game a little bit. Like, it's all the stuff that we do and are familiar with in the game, all the characters, all the story, and the mechanics of everything, but it's just characters, and we get more personal stories with them, and get to follow the little intricacies of like I said, the mechanics and everything in the game. So for those of you who don't know Cult of the Lamb, you quite literally play as this lamb who was resurrected from the dead by like the Great One from below. I forget his exact name, but he gives you the powers. You have this crown that's bestowed upon you, and you have the powers that you can like come back to life, and you basically are sent out to kill these 4 bishops of the old faith. They are the ones who, I guess, had the power for a while, and they each rule a different domain. In this story, the first one of those is already dead. The other three are alive. In the game, you fight like each of them stage by stage before going to the finale of the game. And all the while, you're running a cult, so it's kind of like runs that you do. You go out into the world, you fight through stages and levels to get to the end, and you fight mini bosses. And after you fight 4 mini bosses, you do the boss. And every time you go out for the runs, you come back with resources for your cult. You have to feed them, make sure that they are still, worshiping you. So in this issue, we get a lot of that. So our lamb, our character, our lead, is basically out on runs, and they're kind of neglecting their cult right now because in the battle of the first bishop that we discussed, who's already dead, they lost one of their cult followers named Nana. All the characters, the cult members' names in this are like the default names that you can shuffle through, like in the game, which is really cool. I like that little detail. But they died, and the Lamb is very upset about this, and they don't kind of want to be at the cult right now. They're, like I said, neglecting. So they're out on the missions, and they're kind of going through the whole second stage of the game right now, the second world, Anura, as it's called. So the cult is out after Hecate right now. All the while at the camp, things are not so great. People are starving, and the other 3 bishops are sort of doing some magic themselves, and they've sort of cast this like curse, it seems, little trap bushes or berries that have started popping up in the Lamb's cult, the camp, and they started eating the berries and stuff, and they're now dissenting. In fact, one of the specific followers is now like claiming they have power or whatever because they're the ones who brought the berries or whatever, and everyone's eating them and now worshiping this person. So very much like in the game, you can have dissenters if you are neglecting them, or sometimes when you just recruit them off the bat, they're dissenting, but basically people who challenge your rule, and you can set them straight or do other stuff with them as you please as you run your cult, as is the point of the game. So there's a dissenter in this story. They have got other people on their side now, and overnight, while the Lamb is going out on a crusade, they slaughter like half the camp. Basically, 11 members of the cult are dead, the ones who weren't with the dissenter. So the Lamb returns, sees the aftermath, and Ratau, one of the main game characters, is at the camp, and he's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to, punish them or whatever? And he's like, no, they're not responsible for this. The bishops are responsible for this, so I'm going to go after them. So yeah, very much like the path of the game. Like I said, it's just kind of more in depth. Like I said, it feels like role playing a little bit. We're just fleshing out all our cult members and giving more story to, just the simple game mechanics that you operate in. And you grow attachments to the characters and stuff. So it's like really when the Lamb here is out on a crusade, neglecting the camp, it's like, man, sometimes you just have one of those followers that you're really attached to, and then they die, and then you're like, I don't care about any of these people. I'm just gonna go grind the story now, and then they're starving and not eating food and all that stuff. So fortunately, I was pretty solid. I will say I never really had any like natural dissenters, or I never neglected them to like the point of starving to death. I was pretty good. A couple sacrifices here and there, but that boosts morale in the game. So it was all net positive. Anywho, great issue. I really enjoyed this a lot. It sucks that the next one's not gonna be till March 2026. And don't remember how many issues this is supposed to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be limited, if not like 4 issues, which means like we have, as I said, they fight the second boss in this Hecate, and they actually ended up defeating them. Sorry if I didn't mention this, but they defeated the second boss, so we have our last 2 of the bishops to take care of. So Hecate is dead in the second stage. We're done in Anura. So that leaves Calamar and Shimura left as our final 2 bishops. I don't know if issue by issue we're going to go through them and then save the finale for something else. Who knows? So I really loved it, especially the art. Shout out, I didn't really go through Alex Packnadel, the writer, and Troy Little, the artist, I believe. I love the art in this. It kind of feels just like the game a little bit, but just, more cartoony, stylized a little bit, but still pretty on point. It doesn't feel like something completely different. It looks like it was pulled out of the game. It feels like the game. So I really loved the art in it as well. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Some good reads this week, once again. Thank you all so much for watching. As I said, probably won't be doing any more new reader recaps from here on out, so I hope you all enjoyed. We will still be continuing content like this, just in a shorter, more condensed form on our weekly Wednesday videos. So I will see you all there, hopefully. Take care. Peace.